Hi students, good evening. Welcome to the new episode of Vijnana Vidhi. How are you? Okay, all are fine, right? And did you do the activities which I have given to you yesterday? Did you complete it? Yes. And what about the questions and answers? Did you write down all the questions and answers in your notebook? Did you read the lesson? Okay. Did you study? You have to study it very carefully, otherwise at last you may find it difficult to study all things together. So, you have to study the lessons which is taken on that day itself. Okay. Now, let us move to the next part of the lesson, and before that I will give you the summary of the last class. In the first paragraph, we come to know that Satyajit Ray, his own experience he is telling through this lesson, and in the first paragraph he tells that during his childhood he used to watch the films using animal characters in them. And which are that animal characters? Can you tell me? Yes, the one is called an Alsatian dog, Rin Tin Tin, and the other one, what is the name of it? Yes, that is a collie dog called Lassie, and they used to earn a lot of money. It was not less than a real actor earns, and the masters of these dogs, they used to earn a lot of money by using these animals in the films. Nowadays, it is very difficult for us to use such an animal in the film. Why? Because it is a crime nowadays. Okay. Now, let us go through the next part of the lesson, second paragraph. I realized how reverently these animal actors were treated when I happened to see the shooting of a film 20 years ago in Disney studio in Hollywood. The main character in this film was a large dog. I reached the studio to find that the shooting had not yet started. The cameraman was getting the lights ready. It is customary for actors to be present when the lights are arranged, for they have to show the cameraman how they will walk or where they will stand in a particular shot. In the case of very famous stars, this job is done by their stand-ins. A stand-in is usually a person who is physically similar to the real star. The stars themselves arrive only when the lights are ready and it's time to take a shot. And here in this paragraph, Satyajit Ray explains how respectfully these filmmakers and the film crew, they treated the animal characters. Before 20 years, he went to Disney studio to watch the shooting of a film. Have you ever gone to Disney studio? Okay. Now, let us go to Disney studio. Okay. When he reached there, they were going to shoot a film, and in that film, who was the main character? Yes, the main character was a large dog, and the cameraman was getting the shots ready, and it was quite usual for them when the lights are getting ready, the actors should be present at that time to check the lights and all, to check their position and all. They have to be present at that time. And in the case of very famous personalities, very famous film actors like Mohanlal, Mammootty, Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, there are a lot of film actors, okay. And in the case of them, there will be a stand-in. Who is a stand-in? Do you know who is a stand-in? Yeah, a stand-in is a person who is physically similar to the real actor, and they have to stand there instead of the real actor when the shot is getting ready. But when they begin to shoot the film in the proper way, the real actors will come and stand there, and they have to act accordingly. The next paragraph. Here in Disney studio, I noticed that a few actors were moving about in the set, and on one side, standing quietly, was the protagonist, the same large dog. The cameraman shouted to everyone to take their positions, but the dog remained where it was. This puzzled me. Could it be that it was not required in the next shot? Here, at that time, Satyajit Ray was watching everything, and a dog was standing quietly on one side. This dog is not at all doing anything. At that time, the cameraman shouted everyone to be in their positions. Then also, this dog was standing quietly on one side, and he just got puzzled. This cameraman is giving this much instructions and all, then why this dog is not at all reacting? Maybe this dog is not needed in this scene, maybe in the next scene. That is why this dog is standing there alone. Next paragraph. Before I could ask someone, a strange thing happened. From nowhere appeared a little dwarf, followed by another man carrying a hairy dogskin. Then, to my perfect amazement, the dwarf went down on all the fours on a chalk mark on the floor, just like an animal, and the dogskin was draped over him. Then he crawled from one mark to another, and the cameraman got busy with the lights. It finally dawned upon me that this dwarf was paid to be the dog's stand-in. And here, in this paragraph, he was just doubted why this dog is not at all doing anything. At that time, the answer came to him. A person like a dwarf. Do you know who is a dwarf? Have you seen the film Albudha Dweeb? In that film, you can see a lot of people, that persons are called dwarfs. And here, a dwarf came to the scene, and this person was standing on there was a chalk mark on the floor, and this dwarf came there and he stood there in the fours. That means he was just standing like an animal. And following him, there was a person with dog skin. And what did he do? When this dwarf stood like this, he covered that man, the dwarf, by using this dog skin. Now we can see this picture. Here in this picture, the dwarf is standing like that. And when the cameraman asked him to move, this dwarf began to growl like a dog. At that time, Satyajit Ray understood that. What did he understand? Yes, this dwarf was the stand-in of that large dog, the main character of the film. Now you understood what is a stand-in, right? Okay. Now let us move to the next paragraph. Every animal in a Hollywood film is well trained. It is not difficult to train a horse or a dog. But have you ever heard of trained ravens? Not just one or two, but nearly 100 of them. Even this was made possible in Hollywood when the creator of some of the best suspense films in the history of cinema, Alfred Hitchcock, decided to make a film called Birds. In the story, birds from all over the world start attacking humans. Hitchcock needed a variety of birds, but what was required in the largest number was ravens. Notices were placed in the press all over the United States asking people to contact the filmmaker if they knew how to get hold of a trained ravens. In this paragraph, it tells that in Hollywood films they have used well-trained animals always, and they even tried using the ravens in the film. What is a raven? Have you seen the crow? Yes, this raven is in the family of crow and it will be a little bit bigger than the crow. That birds are called ravens. And in Alfred Hitchcock's film Birds, he wanted hundreds of ravens and they have to come from one side, and together all these ravens should attack human beings. That was the scene, and for this he needed hundreds of ravens. What he will do? He gave the notices in all the newspapers of United States, and he was waiting for the comments. Now let us watch the video of birds. Did you like the video? Yes, if you are getting time, you can watch this film Alfred Hitchcock's Birds. Okay, and let us move to the next paragraph. Someone replied within a few days. He was asked to bring his birds and he arrived with almost 100 trained ravens. Admittedly, their training had not gone very bad. That is to say, they could not do anything that might be seen as extraordinary. But if as many as 50 ravens are told to perch quietly in a row on a specified spot, and if they obey this command instantly, isn't that pretty impressive? Here, after publishing the notice in all the newspapers in the United States, some people replied back. And one person came there with 100 trained ravens. And to train these hundreds of ravens, it's not an easy job. Why? Because these all are birds and it is very difficult to train them. Nowadays, in our place also we can see a lot of dog training centers, horse training centers and all. But we may not heard about the training of these birds. And here in this film, he got hundreds of ravens with a trainer. And what they have to do in the film? According to the instruction of the trainer, they have to perch on a place on the specified shot quietly. What do you mean by perching? Here I will show you a picture of perch. This is the meaning of perch. Okay, and they have to perch on a place quietly, and when the trainer give instruction, they have to all together attack the human beings. This is what he needed in his film. Okay, let us move to the next paragraph. Needless to say, in our own country, it is not at all easy to find trained animals. Although some films have been made in Bombay and Madras that involved working with elephants, horses and tigers. Their performance did suggest that they were used to obeying commands. in Bengal, it is sometimes possible to find clever dogs, particularly police dogs, which are quite intelligent. If one is prepared to be patient, it is not altogether impossible to get good performances out of them, as we managed to do with Bhulo in Pathar Panchali. And in our place also we can see trained animals such as horses, dogs and all. And in Indian films also, in Bombay and Madras, we also used some trained animals in films. But they will do the very less instructions only. They will be able to do small instructions only. 1 or 2 or 3 like that only. But in the Hollywood films, it was not like that. They will give a lot of instructions, according to that these animals would behave. And here in Pathar Panchali, Satyajit Ray's one of the famous films, and in that film he used a dog called Bhulo. Here is the picture of Bhulo. And here in this film Bhulo acted well. There were some intelligent dogs in Bengal and these dogs performed well, and he has taken one of these dogs to his film and his name is Bhulo in this film. Okay. Then what you understood from this lesson, from these paragraphs? Now let us go through some questions. Okay, let me check whether you understood or not. Okay. Who is a stand-in? That we already explained. Who is a stand-in? A stand-in is a person who is similar, physically similar to the real actor. That is called a stand-in. And the next question, what is the puzzling incident described in paragraph 3? Have you seen the answer? Okay, tell me now. Yes, when the cameraman shouted all the actors to stand in their own position, one large dog, he was standing on one side quietly. This puzzled the author. Okay. And the next question. What were the difficulties Alfred Hitchcock had to face while making the film Birds? What was his difficulty? Yes, your answer is correct. The difficulty was to get hundreds of trained ravens. It was very difficult for him to get these hundreds of trained ravens, not 1 or 2, hundreds of trained ravens. How did Hitchcock manage to get a large number of ravens for his film? What did he do? Yes, he has given the notice in all the newspapers of United States and he made all others knew about it. Okay. And the next question. What is described as pretty impressive? What is pretty impressive in this portion? According to the instruction of the trainer, these birds should go and perch on the specified shot and they have to go and attack all the human beings according to the instruction of the trainer. That is quite impressive. And let us go through the meanings of the difficult words. What you have to do is, you have to write down all these meanings in your notebook and you have to study them very carefully. Why? Because whenever a passage comes for the examination, you may not find it difficult to find out the meaning of the words. So, you have to study it very carefully. Reverently. What is the meaning of reverently? Respectfully. Customary means habitual, as usual. Draped means covered. Donned, appeared. Ravens, I already explained to you, a large bird of the crow family. Perch, to land and stay on a branch. And these meanings are available in the glossary of your textbook. There you can see all these meanings and you have to write down all the meanings in your notebook. Okay. Now, let us move to the activity. Activity 3 in your textbook, page number 51. Alfred Hitchcock decided to make a film called Birds. In the story, birds from all over the world start attacking humans. Hitchcock needed a variety of birds, but what was required in large number was ravens. Notices were placed in the press all over the United States asking people to contact the filmmaker. How will you prepare a notice? Here I will show you some examples of notice. You can go through it. What did you notice in this notice? First of all, we have to give a heading for the notice about the question. And after that, what you have to write? You have to write the name of the place. In different ways you can use to write this notice. And the matter you can write in a paragraph. And at last, the name of the person who is giving this notice. And what else? That will do. If you want, then you can add the date also. Okay, that's all about the notice. And today's activity for you, that you have to write this notice in your notebook and try to make a beautiful notice. Okay, now let us wind up the portion today. Here we have seen that Satyajit Ray went to Disney studio to watch the shooting of a film, and there he saw a large dog. He was standing quietly on one side, and when the cameraman shouted and asked all the actors to be in their position, this dog was not at all moving. He was standing on one place, and at that time he just got puzzled, why this dog is not at all doing anything. And after some time there appeared a dwarf and he stood in his pose. At that time a person covered him by using a dog skin, and he began to move like a dog. At that time only Satyajit Ray understood that this person was the stand-in of the large dog. And in the next paragraph it is describing about the film Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. He was in need of a lot of hundreds of ravens in his film, and what did he do for getting these hundreds of ravens? Yeah, he gave notices in all the newspapers of the USA, and someone replied back, and a person came there with hundreds of trained ravens, and he used that ravens in the film, and these birds, these ravens acted in such a way, it was quite incredible, that we have seen the video. And in Indian films also we used a lot of animals like elephants, dogs, horses and all. Here in Pathar Panchali, one of his famous films, here also he used a dog called Bhulo. And that's all about today's episode. You can watch this video in the YouTube channel of Goodness TV. If you have any doubt regarding this portion, you can write in the comment box of this video. Thank you.